This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. What the HE double hockey stick is going on with backup cameras in cars? It seems like every single automaker is having problems with them. Yesterday, Stellantis announced it's recalling nearly 1 million vehicles because of faulty backup cameras. But it's not the only one. Over 21 million vehicles in the U.S. have been recalled because of backup cameras. There seems to be two problems. One, water gets into the camera housing and it goes on the fritz. But that doesn't happen very often. The biggest problem by far is all about the software. Even Tesla is having problems, and it's considered by some to be the best at software. Whoever thought that putting a camera in the back of a car could lead to so many problems? The biggest issue in the industry right now is supposedly with affordability. But car shoppers are happily paying thousands of dollars over the sticker price at Carvana dealerships to get the cars that they want. Carvana bought 7 traditional dealerships and really turned them around. One of those in Arizona is now the largest Stellantis dealership in the U.S. And it's all about how it treats its customers. First off, you don't deal with salespeople. All the cars at the dealership have a QR code that you can scan, allowing you to do the entire purchase digitally if you want. There's no haggling over the price. What you see is what you pay. Some models are priced cheaper than what other dealerships are charging, but an analysis done by Catalyst IQ for Automotive News shows that most are more expensive. And this shows that customers are willing to pay a premium to get a better buying experience. President Trump likes to boast that his tariffs are reviving manufacturing jobs in the U.S. However, the opposite is happening in the auto industry. According to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, payrolls at vehicle and parts plants fell 1% to 964,500 jobs in July, compared with more than 975,000 in March of 2025 before the new tariffs went into effect. Most of the losses in the industry have been at suppliers, since they're not as protected from tariffs, which have driven up their costs. In addition to those tariffs, the growing use of automation at suppliers has also caused employment to drop. Could an EV charging price war be brewing in the U.S.? Right now, Walmart and Iona are charging quite a bit less than other providers like Tesla and Electrify America. According to data from a company called Perrin, Iona had the cheapest average rate of 17 different networks, charging 37 cents per kilowatt hour. Walmart ranked 4th at 43 cents, while well-known providers like Tesla and Electrify America both charge 56 cents per kilowatt hour on average. That's a gap that users will start to notice. As we reported recently, Walmart installed the second most amount of EV chargers in the second quarter of this year. And J.D. Power recently ranked Iona, which is a joint venture between BMW, GM, Honda, Hyundai, Kia, Mercedes, Stellantis, and Toyota, as the top network in its EV Experience Index for public charging. Geely is adding manufacturing capacity in Europe through partnerships with other automakers. Last month, it signed a deal with Ford to build vehicles at Ford's Valencia plant in Spain. And now Geely's new chairman says it will also manufacture cars at Volvo's plants in Europe. Volvo currently has 2 assembly plants in Sweden and Belgium, and it's also building a new EV plant in Slovakia. Geely is expected to start building vehicles at one of those plants in 2028, which will likely be at Zeekr or Lynk & Co brands. And don't forget that Geely is also aiming to produce vehicles at Volvo's plant in South Carolina at some point as well.
At Intrepid, we produce network hardware and software solutions, enabling vehicle manufacturers to innovate and design the next generation of modern mobility. Delivering scalable next-generation solutions requires thorough testing and validation of vehicle platforms. Intrepid's Neovi Cloud Platform helps manufacturers quickly identify diagnostic trouble codes and defects by pinpointing which vehicles have specific software versions. This allows them to isolate non-compliant vehicles in real time using analytics, part numbers, DTCs, and organized, secure, cloud-based data. All of these steps ensure vehicles are cleared for production and ready for the road, taking your fleet testing into the future of mobility. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
Tesla could start deploying the Cybercab as early as this month, according to the information. It says the two-door, two-seater, which doesn't have a steering wheel or pedals, will first be available to employees in Austin, Texas at the end of August. Then a few days later, the Cybercab will be added to Tesla's robotaxi fleet for regular customers to use in the city. But no word on how many Cybercabs there will be in this initial rollout or expansion into other areas. Sticking with Tesla, the EV maker's head of design recently said the new Roadster would be coming, quote, very soon. Even though the company has been saying that since 2017, the information also reports the sports car will debut at an event that could be held this month. There's expected to be a standard version and a limited edition version with SpaceX thrusters. But we'll believe it when we see it. And one last bit of Tesla news. It just got a big semi-truck order from Swedish autonomous trucking company Einride. It plans to deploy 500 Tesla semis over the next 2 years across North America, delivering goods for its customers, which includes Amazon. Einride also recently signed a deal with DAF to test autonomous electric semi-trucks in parts of Europe. While it still isn't profitable, Chinese autonomous driving company Pony.ai is showing impressive growth. The robotaxi provider's revenue increased 69% in the second quarter to more than $36 million, with robotaxi sales accounting for a third of that total, which was up more than 690% from a year ago. While Pony.ai posted a net loss of $45 million, it was an improvement from the $53 million loss it posted in Q2 of last year. The company says it now has 1,975 robotaxis in its fleet, and it's aiming to have 3,500 by the end of the year. It also plans to deploy 4,000 robotaxis outside of China, but it didn't give a time frame for that. Mercedes really hit a home run with the G-Wagon, now a $150,000 plus rugged-looking off-road vehicle, and Lincoln believes it can play in the same segment. It's going to come out with a Lincoln version of the Ford Bronco in mid-2029 at half the price of a G-Wagon. That's all based on information from Auto Forecast Solutions. And speaking of Auto Forecast, it says Ford will come out with a midsize crossover that will be built at the same Hermosillo assembly plant that makes the Maverick in Mexico. Reports recently said Ford would come out with a midsize crossover that will be priced around $25,000, and putting two and two together, we think this is it. There will be a hybrid version as well, and by basing it on the Maverick, Ford will save a ton of investment money. Now the question is whether they're going to call it the Ford Escape. And with that, we wrap up today's show. Thanks for making Autoline a part of your day.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by CSP, the Composites Solution Partner, Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game. And thanks to the following YouTube and Patreon members.
At CSP, we work with OEM engineers across the country on their journeys to lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly vehicles. Learn more at thecsp.com.